programs that they put on. They were awesome, so thank you principals and your staff that put those programs together for these veterans who were honored that day, and thank you veterans. I know a lot of the veterans that's in here, so thank you guys for coming out and participating in all these programs. So the hard work didn't go in vain, and I myself as a veteran, and we did get a panel together, 11 or however many that came, and I think it was 5 before, whatever we had, but I follow whatever.
I would agree that we set up the committee for, as part of our policy for a reason, to get the input from the community, and it looks to me like that's the way the, community voted, and it doesn't matter whether it's one vote or would have been unanimous. It's a democratic process of coming to a conclusion. So I think it should stay on the side.
I just want to say, I thank everybody for their concerns, for their thoughts around this. This is a subject that, no matter how you vote, no matter what you do, you're going to make some people happy, you're going to make some people not happy. At the end of the day, I feel that our job as school board members is to do what's best for the district as a whole, which ultimately is what's best for the school, for the students, for the teachers, for the community. I do feel like, it is a hard decision to put on somebody to make that decision, because again, once you make it, no matter what you say or what you do, some people are going to be happy with it, some are not. I have known a lot of people that have been veterans. I have known a lot of people that have fought in wars, have served our country, and served our country proudly. I think what Lord Benavidez has done was awesome. I actually watched his video and watched a lot of other stuff. I want to know more about the person, the individual. But at the end of the day, I do feel like, that one of the things here is when we start trying to change names of facilities due to whatever reason, then we do, open up, okay, what's going to be the next thing that we change. I was in favor of having the committee actually go through the process, the policy that we currently have today that states how are we going to change names. And I felt like we did that, and that's the way we should do it, because that's the way we're governed right now. So I will vote when it comes time to motion, and I appreciate and thank you everybody for your participation and your support.
Roy Benavidez is a hero. I don't think there's any discussion here tonight that will be to the contrary of that. I've said many times to anybody that asks me that I didn't have a strong feeling about this issue from the get-go. So as a trustee, I feel like I've approached this with a very open mind. I've struggled a little bit with my role as a trustee in this debate and within the context of this debate. I feel that the voters of ECISD have placed me here in the position of trustee because they want me to perform that role to the best of my ability. The responsibilities of a trustee are clearly identified, and they're identified as adopting goals and monitoring success within the district, adopting policies, hiring and evaluating the superintendent, adopting a budget, and communicate with the community. Pursuant to those responsibilities that are clearly defined, ECISD, the board, and the district has further defined its goals in a number of ways, most easily found in the board monitoring document and the ECISD strategic focus areas. Decisions by the board, and I'm just kind of walking through my thought process, decisions by the board have monetary impact. They have impact for and outcomes for staff and teachers and students within the district. For me as a trustee, each decision that is made, it doesn't matter if we're talking about this decision or any other agenda item, I make sure that aligns with, one, the role of trustee, and two, the goals that the district has adopted and what we've tried to work for a long time on the board, and this current board, I'm going to say is very, very good at working toward those goals, and these folks up here are to be commended for that. So in weighing the agenda item before we have before us tonight, I spent a lot of time thinking about that last thing I talked about communicating with the community. Part of it because it was necessary, part of it because a lot of you folks in this room forced us to communicate with the community, and I applaud every single person that did that, no matter which side of the fence you're on. I think that local government is one of the most American things you can have, and this is local government that's going on right here. And through extensive communication with the community on this specific topic, and it was, that communication was reflected throughout the committee members and everything that went through. The one thing that I've come to find out is that I feel like that there's no consensus on this issue in the community. And because of all those things, when we take a vote, that's what's gonna drive my vote, is that I feel like aligning with what the goals are for this board, what the goals are for the district, what the role is of a trustee, how that is defined, and then the communication that I've had within the district, and there has been a lot of it over many months. So that's what's gonna steer my vote when we do vote.
I agree with Mr. Rawlings on one point for sure. Somebody's going to walk out of this room not happy, and somebody's going to walk out happy. My experience is that El Campo's a special place, and I'm hoping that no matter how this turns out, we can all still get along and do what we think's best for El Campo. I'm sure gonna stick my hand out and shake everybody's hand. I guess it's up to y'all if y'all want to shake it or not after it's done. But I was never in the military. I have many family members that were and still are serving. I have a deep respect and appreciation for all of them and all of you veterans out there, and especially for the friends and families that didn't come back. One of you servicemen mentioned months ago during a board meeting about a guy that was killed in action. The body never was recovered. That was Charles Mansky. He was a pilot in the Vietnam War. His namesake and his nephew was my best friend growing up and going through the public school system here in El Campo. He was the best man at my wedding. He's probably still wondering why she said yes to marry me. So heard a lot of people. The last thing I would ever want to do would be to offend the Mansky family. He and I are still close friends. To that end, and this is a subject for a future board meeting with the board's approval, but I would like to work with some of you veterans and somehow come up with a list of people that have gone to public schools in El Campo and died. And I'm just one vote. I don't have any more to say than these other guys, but take the H building at El Campo High School. Does that really mean anything to anybody? It doesn't to me. Can we put somebody's name on it that died for our country and was local? And I'm just using that as an example. We could meet and talk about it, but I think we could do a lot better job at supporting those people that gave the ultimate sacrifice. I've heard many arguments in these meetings and on the streets of why it should or should not be renamed. I spent a lot of time struggling with it. One of the reasons is the actual direct cost to rename the facility. Some of you have heard rumors and papers and taken tours, and you'll learn more about it. But we have some really big facility issues here in El Campo. I mean, it's, without going into a whole longer diatribe, some of the buildings are embarrassing, and we need to address those. And as I stated earlier, it's not my intention to offend anyone, but I do strongly believe that a local Medal of Honor recipient is worthy of an elementary school named after him, especially because of his repeated stance on how important it is to get an education. So I'd like to make a motion to rename Northside Elementary after Roy P. Benavidez, but with all of the expenses related to the renaming of that school to come from private donations and no district money utilized.
Let's continue discussion from Mr. Brock and your motional statement.
You'll need a second.
Yeah, it'll need a second, but it'll.
I haven't had to give this a whole lot of thought. Roy Benavidez was a hero of mine as a child, as a young man. I knew him. I didn't know him near as well as a lot of people in this room, but I knew him. And his duty and honor was to serve our country, and he took great pride in that. And there's a lot to be learned from that. But he also, as stated earlier, won the Congressional Medal of Honor, and nobody else in this room has won one of those that I know of. And as Chris Barbie said, nobody else in our town has either. I'm a product of Northside Elementary School, not this one, the old one. The name means nothing. It's a direction. That's all it is. It's not named after anybody. It doesn't have any. There's no value in the words Northside. It's just a direction. I 100% support naming this school after Master Sergeant Roy P. Benavidez, and I'll second Mr. Irwin's motion.
We have any other discussion? We have a motion by Mr. Irwin to name Northside Elementary Roy P. Benavidez. And you're supporting the motion that?
I second the motion.
Okay, and a second by Mr. Dubrot. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion fails 2-4 with Kevin absent. With that, we'll take a 5-minute break.